lot to talk about, and we're going to start with Jimmy Butler because there's more. We've added on to the crazy headlines that follow him around right now. So Jake Fisher is reporting that he skipped shoot-arounds. He also requested to fly private away from his teammates. Who wouldn't? Kyle Lowry, by the way, his buddy, has gotten tired, apparently, of sort of these headstrong tendencies that he has on the court. So he's in his second season with the Sixers, has not commented yet on the report. However, I want to ask you guys, Lou, I'll start with you. His friend seems to have gotten tired of him. That's when you know it's gotten kind of bad. What are you thinking about this report?
Well, I'll say Kyle Lowry is a little confused why he's even mentioned in this whole stock. Yeah.
Right.
No, he hasn't sat down and done an official interview with Jake Fisher, so I will say that part. So, as a friend of a friend, I would like to just remove Kyle Lowry's name from this report. But nothing surprises me at all when it comes to, this Jimmy Butler and Miami Heat saga. I think in the next few days, what we're going to see is reports that are going to favor the Miami Heat. We're going to see reports that are going to favor Jimmy Butler. They're basically having a cold war through the media, we're just trying to swing this narrative. When the last time we've seen Pat Riley do a sit-down interview with anybody and discuss current events that's going on with his team? That's something that we've seen last week with Pat Riley and dealing with this Jimmy Butler thing. I think all in all, the Miami Heat, they expect Jimmy Butler to be back in uniform. And at some point, they got to swing it their way to try to get that done. And to Jimmy's defense, he wants to move on and he wants to do something else. And so what you're seeing is just a war of words from two sides that's trying to find middle ground. It doesn't look like we're going to find it in the next few days. And so that's the only thing that surprised me at all about this. But when you start talking about superstar guys missing shoot-arounds and flying private and doing things, in order for these guys to do these things, they have to be clear or they're going to be fined or they're going to be suspended. We haven't heard any news of Jimmy Butler being suspended or fined for these actions until now, when it's time for him to get back in the Miami Heat uniform or, be traded like he's requesting to do. And so all of these reports and all of these things are going to come out from both sides. That's the only thing that doesn't surprise me at all right now.
By the way, he could return. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was just going to say he could return Friday. If he finishes the suspension, he would be back against Denver on Friday. So keep that in mind when you answer.
I honestly don't see that happening. I don't see him ever playing again for the Heat. And Lou brings up a good point. The flying private thing, although that is wildly expensive and seems a bit excessive from him just personally, I don't know what his agenda there is. Maybe he's just trying to prove a point that really he doesn't need them at this point and he's okay flying himself. I don't know how long that's going to last. But there's no fines besides the suspension. There's been no other public knowledge of any other fine or situation. So the Kyle Lowry thing is also weird. It's like he's not even on the Heat, and I'm friends with a lot of NBA players. My name wouldn't just get dragged into their drama, but so I would take with a grain of salt on those two things, but I'm not surprised here at all. Honestly, this has been in Jimmy's DNA and kind of his personality really since he started hooping in Chicago. He's had a lot of issues with every team he's been on, and this is just a war right now that they're in, and the Heat are a middle of a pack team right now. So from Pat Riley's standpoint, obviously he's keeping his phone on loud and he's hearing out all offers, but they still are in the thick of things right now with all this. So I don't want my season just to be remembered as the Jimmy Butler drama season. Like I still have Bam, I still have Tyler Hero, and you can still imagine you can get some value for Jimmy Butler. Obviously, as this goes on and there's more drama and more issues, his value is going down and down, just like Bradley Beal's is. When he doesn't play, he's adding out of the lineup, he's off the bench. So these guys are getting devalued every day that goes by without a trade. So if I'm the Heat, man, I am looking at every single option just to try and salvage this season, get something for Jimmy Butler ASAP. Even if it's Pat Riley doing a chess game, sending him somewhere that he knows he's miserable, I don't care. I just want the people that want to be here, the people that want to compete on the floor, and I want to just be the focus on the team and winning basketball games, because right now it's not, and they're suffering and they're losing games that they shouldn't lose, but they're still right there in the middle of the pack.
He did do that little, it was a pretty well-played troll job with the barista, where he's smiling to camera and he's talking about how bosses should build you up, not tear you down. Chandler's on the record as saying he's not playing again in the Heat, right? So Lou, you've said you do think he comes back. I'm starting to think, how do you come back on Friday with all of this?
Well, I don't know if it's as soon as Friday, but like I said, the trade deadline is in February. We still got a lot of time left, and it doesn't look like the market is heating up for Jimmy Butler as far as teams go, especially when you're going back and forth with your team. Teams know that they can come in and give you a low ball number. They can make you offers that's lenient towards them, opposed to trying to make a fair deal with the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler. And for that reason, he may be put in a position where he's either looking at more suspension time, where he's going to lose a ton of money, or he's going to have to find middle ground with the Miami Heat and get back in uniform until they can figure something out at the end of this season. That's how I see this thing playing out right now because of the market, and for those reasons, I think we're probably going to see Jimmy Butler back in a Miami Heat uniform unless he's willing to stand on it and die on that hill and lose a ton of money and sit home.
And again, knowing Jimmy and seeing what he's done, like, is he going to do that? If he's not traded, is he just going to shut himself down the rest of this season? Like who knows? Like, this dude seems to be on a mission. He seems to not have his joy right now playing basketball. But again, these offers, they're going to start getting more and more attractive the more issues and the more drama that keeps surrounding this team, because eventually something's got to give, right? Either Pat Riley's got to take a lesser trade of less value that he thinks in his mind, or Jimmy Butler literally has to be like, okay, this could be a career killer right now if I don't at least play the game and play minutes here for a team that has kind of given me everything I've wanted up until, the comments last year. I feel like is where that really stemmed from. The issue with Spo on the bench, where him and UD got in each other's face. There has been some issues leading up to this, but for the most part, we've been raving about the Heat ever since Jimmy Butler have been there, and this whole Heat culture and how they turn it on in the postseason. So I don't really know where it went rogue here, but it just, to me, it's done.
Well, somewhere between the finals and here.
Yeah, we listen all season long. We've been saying something is off about the Miami Heat before these reports start coming out with the issues that they've been having. Unfortunately, I just feel like Jimmy doesn't have the leverage in this situation that he usually does. He's owed a ton of money next year with that opt-in. But there comes a consequence with that. He's going to be put in a position to play for the Miami Heat again, and so. At this point, what do you do if you're Jimmy Butler, and what do you do if you're the Miami Heat? So I guess we'll watch as everybody else see it play out.
But I'll say this too, like, as a teammate too, there's this narrative going around that it's starting to be like a team distraction as a teammate standpoint. If you're a Tyler Hero or you're a Bam, obviously you want your team's best chance of winning, and that's with Jimmy Butler. But do you really care if you're Tyler Hero or you're one of these other guys on the Heat, especially if you're one of the guys that are getting more opportunity without Jimmy Butler in the lineup? This is like burning bridges personally with teammates. As an ex-player, I would be a little confused by it, and I would obviously have more light and more knowledge to what's really happening. So when I start seeing these reports that, now the players are getting pissed off, I don't know how far that has to how far it has to go for that to actually happen.
But Chandler, you know how this thing works, man. All of these reports are going to come out. If I'm Tyler Hero and I'm having the year that I'm having, I don't care if Jimmy Butler ever comes back again.
Like, that's first-time All-Star. He does not give a damn that they're sitting out.
Trust me, we know how these things work behind the scenes. These guys are in contact. They've had conversations. It's understood. Listen, guys, this is not working for me. I'm looking for another way out. This has nothing to do with y'all. I enjoy working with y'all. This is not a beef. And if I'm these guys, I've gone 2 weeks without playing with Jimmy Butler, and we played decent basketball since he's been gone. We'll be okay. We want to make sure Jimmy is okay, everybody is okay, and everybody goes home, make their living, and let's continue on our career. So if I'm Tyler Hero, like, again, Kyle Lowry's been with the 76ers now. Season, like, what is that? What is that?
Why would Kyle Lowry care the slightest of the drama in Miami when he's not even there anymore? The report is.
I don't know. It's a weird throw-in.
Like, again, we're gonna see these things. We're gonna see all of these wild reports come out. Some gonna favor Jimmy. Some are gonna favor the Miami Heat. Until they get this thing situated, this is what we're dealing with.
And the last thing I'll say on this, the friendships you have in the NBA are bigger than the organization and what's going. Like when Joakim Noah was playing on the Knicks and the whole he choked out Hornacek thing, then everyone was trying to turn on him. My first call or text was to him to see how he was doing, what he was going through. I didn't give a damn that he was in an altercation with a coach. I know him so well that I know it was for a good reason. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Jimmy Butler, like Lou said, has made it clear. Listen, this has nothing to do with you guys. This is an inner battle with me, and like, don't take anything I'm gonna do offensively, but it's gonna be hairy for a while.
That makes sense. I get that. I get all it. In the meantime, we're just sort of sitting back watching it like its own little television show.
By the way, I was even the opposite. I was like, screw Hornacek when it happened. Like I took Joakim's side because that's my boy.
Shocking.
Like, yeah.
Well, I get it. Like I would probably take y'all's side if something went down because my loyalty's to you. It's not to the other people. All right, let's keep it moving. We got basketball to talk about. Not great basketball though, so don't get too excited. The Warriors falling below 500 last night when they lose